Hello, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are. A big welcome to all of you. My name is Laura, and I am delighted that you are joining us for today's ESPC community webinar. And today I am joined by George, who is calling in all the way from Australia, and he is going to talk to you guys about e-signatures and payments in Power Pages. We love hearing what you guys have to say, so remember to join in on the conversation about today's webinar and more on Twitter. Our Twitter handle is @EuropeanSP and our hashtag is hashtag ESPC23. Tweet us, at us, and tell us what you learned. Don't forget to check out the Resource Centre, which is updated daily with the latest blogs, ebooks, webinars, and how-to videos. You can access and view the Resource Centre by visiting our website, sharepointeurope.com, and clicking the Content tab. Don't let the learning stop here. Continue to keep up and stay ahead by joining us for our next webinar called Efficiency in Power Automate with Damien Bird. This webinar takes place on Friday, September 15th from 11 a.m. to 12 p.m. CEST. For more information on this webinar, you can visit our website, sharepointeurope.com/Power Platform Week. ESPC is fast approaching. If you are looking for a vibrant Microsoft 365 and Azure conference that is jam-packed with groundbreaking insights, visionary keynotes, hands-on workshops, and exciting networking opportunities, then it is time to secure your early bird tickets for ESPC. But why should you attend ESPC? You can receive valuable insights by attending a variety of session types across the biggest Microsoft 365 and Azure topics, catering from level 100 through to 400. You can hear from Microsoft product team members, regional directors, MVPs, MCMs, and independent experts. ESPC is also a great way to build your professional network and meet like-minded people from across the globe. You can share and receive advice from fellow attendees, but also from our very friendly and helpful speakers. ESPC also helps you to get up and keep up and get ahead with the latest product developments and practices that matter the most. Find new and better ways of working to bring new energy and effectiveness to your work. And of course, you can expect the latest news straight from Ignite. So invest in your team, invest in yourself, and invest in your career by learning new skills or mastering current ones at ESPC. And you can book before September 29th to avail of our early bird pricing and our special team discounts. If you want to find out more information about early bird pricing or our special team discounts, you can visit sharepointeurope.com/pricing to secure your tickets at this discounted price. At ESPC, there will be over 20 Microsoft Power Platform sessions to choose from. Topics include Power Apps, Power BI, Power Pages, Power Automate, ChatGPT, Dataverse, and much, much more. Don't miss out on this fantastic learning opportunity. Visit sharepointeurope.com/conference schedule 2023 to check out the wide range of Power Platform sessions. So after the webinar, we will have a questions and answers session. Type any question you might have into the questions window. Questions will be selected and answered throughout the webinar. As always, this webinar will be recorded and added to the Resource Centre, where you will be notified by email when it is available. And now I'm going to pass you over to today's webinar presenter, George. Hello, George.
Hello, hello. Thanks for having me. Okay. So, hi everyone, and welcome to this short presentation, but long demo. I'm going to talk a little bit about scenario and what we are going to cover, and then switch on to demo and cover the rest. So we are going to talk about e-signatures, so in this specific instance, DocuSign, but we're going to add payments to it. What's the point in signing documents if you're not getting paid? So we're just going to go ahead and see how we can tap into payments in Power Pages. So just quickly about me, I've been business applications MVP since 2007, and I run a small ISV company in Sydney, Australia, Alexa CRM. So we are doing integration, we build in Power Platform stuff, we're doing integration with specifically with WordPress and many other things. I also set up business application development masterclass or bad masterclass, and that we're hoping to pick up after a little bit of pandemic. We're going to resume that learning. I also run CRM tip of the day, as well as talk on crm.audio. And crm.audio, our latest episode where I talk with Nicholas Hajduk. We talk about all things Power Pages, and in this instance, we do cover payments. And if I miss something today, then you can go and listen and pick up some other ways to collect other people's money in your Power Pages. So you can check my stuff on GitHub, or you can contact me, and I'll be publishing my contact information later on as well. So where the nickname, the enabler, comes from, I'm not really good, not anymore, at doing things and teaching. I do teach, but there are people who do it better. I definitely can't manage. I can't manage myself, yet alone other people. So what I do instead, I enable other people to do great things. So that's why I call the enabler, and I'm happy to share my knowledge. And happy to show you ways around so you can pick it up and actually deliver something to the customers. I also do things with 365.training. So I'll show this slide later on again. This is a barcode, so you can get like 30% discount of annual subscription. We do lots of great things like on-demand courses, hands-on labs. We do AMA, role-based skill profiles, whether you architect, whether you maker, you can tailor sort of learning to your chosen career. And we do cohort learning. This is something new we started only recently. And so you can do lots and lots of things. So by all means, go ahead, follow the link and check it out. Okay, so Power Platform. I started putting together slides, and then I realized that by the time I put the slides, they kind of go stale. So for example, this slide, it's not that long ago, that was the freshest slide available. Now it's obviously missing, these days it's immediately missing copilots and related stuff. So AI stuff, yes, it's got Builder tucked in the corner, but that's about it. So the one thing that happened, which is important for today's conversation, Power Pages are now a product in its own right. It used to be Power Apps, very confusing. There was a Canvas, there was a model-driven apps, and then the Power Pages. Now, Power Apps portals, and now they're Power Pages, and they are product in its own right. And there's been a lot of great development happening. So you can go onto crm.audio and listen about all the things that's been happening in Power Pages. So I've been involved with Power Pages for a long time. So I tend to do development stuff, not a lot of it, just a little bit JavaScript here and there. I don't like writing lots of code, lots of problems. So a little bit of code doesn't hurt though, and that's exactly what we're gonna do today, straight away into the demo. So we're gonna talk about two parts. Part number one, collecting signatures, and part number two, collecting people's money. That's it. That's as simple as it gets. And this is something that you can apply in lots of different scenarios. Our subject, the subject is fictitious, almost real organization, Australian Farmers Association, or AFA. what they're doing, they are doing continuous professional development. It's a membership organization. Continuous professional development is, apart from providing kind of professional growth background to the facilities for their members, it's also a prerequisite for members to get licenses like livestock trade and things like that. For a lot of licensing, CPD, continuous professional development, is a prerequisite. So you need to attend a certain number of webinars and so on and so forth. So that's what they're doing. It's collecting members and so forth. So let's switch quickly and going into the demo itself. So I think that's, no, that's not the one. That's the one. That's the one. So let's go into Power Pages. So I built a very simple website based on one of the layout templates. Nothing specific, just a layout, just a fancy, clean layout. And we provide, within that site, we provide information for members. So we have a site with information available for general public, and information for members lives under this page, which is protected. And what we did, we created for that page, we created permission setting. You need to have a web role called members to be able to access that page. And we're saying members are people who actually pay money. So there are two steps in this process. One is we'd like people to sign the document saying, yep, there is understanding between you, farmer, and joining our organization. Perhaps there would be NDA in place. There's some, non-refundable deposits and things like that. And the second part, taking actual money. So let's take a look at the first part. Before we go any further, in case you missed it, Microsoft, literally 2 weeks ago, they said that Power Pages now have DocuSign integration. And DocuSign integration, it's in preview. It's kind of rough around the edges, but it works, as you will see. So you can configure it and run with it. Need some TLC here and there, but generally speaking, it works, and it's awesome. So first of all, within the DocuSign, so I went ahead and created a template member application. So you apply to be a member, right? So that's the first thing. I just uploaded the Word document, which is a standard kind of contract in there. And within this document, let me go and show you. Within this document, I have a template, template called member application. Within this document, there's a couple of pages in this document. I don't specify who's signing it. I'm just saying there is a role called member. That's a person needs to be to have this role to sign the document. It's kind of dynamically assigned, so it's all you need to know is that there is a role called member at that point in time. And if we go ahead and look at this contract, so within the contract, we have member name and member email, and we do have placeholders. So if I go next, we do have within this template, we dropped a couple of things like full name, email, date sign, and the signature. That's all for now. This is as simple as it gets. Obviously, it could be multiple places where you sign. You could add text and ask for additional input and so on. But we'll keep it simple for now. The one thing to remember is that there is each one of these things that you drop has a unique data label. This is important. I kind of shortened it to name and email because these are the things we can populate, pre-populate. If we know this information, we can pre-populate. Makes it much, much easier to complete the document, the signature process. So, okay, so I don't even have to save, it's all there. I just showed you, yeah, just got the changes. So we've got member application. The one thing that we do want to know from the application, it's template ID. This is the ID that we set aside. We need to copy it. This is something that we'll need. Okay. Now, when you go into Design Studio in Power Pages and you go into Setup, now you have a few things in preview down at the bottom. And one of the things that surfaced 2 weeks ago, external documents, and it's DocuSign. It's already configured. So what happens when you install it? It installs a small solution. It provisions a couple tables, so the table where the DocuSign requests are kept, and the table where the timestamps and so are recorded when people sign in documents or reject or decline to sign documents. There's the status and so forth. And there are two Power Automate flows that are there. So those Power Automate flows, they do two things. One is generates the documents and sends it out, right, for signature. So that's part number one. The second one is being called back when the document is either declined or signed. So there are two flows. Let me show you part of configuration and say, yep, I need to configure. You need to connect them to your DocuSign account. Once you connect and those flows are enabled, then you can use them inside the DocuSign. And the other thing is you say, I'm enabling, and this is where you add template ID, remember that GUID. So GUID goes here, template name, role name, and the table name I selected, there is a membership application table that I pre-created earlier. And then pre-filled field mapping. So it's, for example, if I go membership application, I can add tab and I can say name, and I have applicant name here. So I can map those, what in DocuSign called tabs or pieces of information, those yellow pieces of information that can be pre-populated and pre-filled. So applicant email and so forth. So I can do that, and then when I save it, it shows up as entry here. What's gonna happen next? This member application will become available within the form. So off to that next. So I have a page and application page saying apply. It's a multi-step form. So the first form is just basically creating an application number, which is auto-generated, and linking the contact. We require people be signed in at this point in time. You can probably do it anonymously. Now, as it is right now, DocuSign integration requires a person who signed in the document be signed in into the portals. So be a contact within the portal. So we have to have a person signed in anyway. So we're saying you need to be registered with the website, even to access the free information. But to be a member, you need to sign the document, you need to pay. So we know who the contact is. So that's step number one. So step number two is actually signature. So and on step number two, I have, again, read-only, application number and contact. And then what I did for step settings, when you set it up, there's integration. And once integration, you have this member application template. This is one of those quirky things. When I select it and I click OK, it will go away for a long time, comes back saying, yep, I'm done, everything is fine. You go back and it's unselected. It's actually is selected, it's recorded, it's fine. So this is the template that I defined earlier. So, so I enable the signature and have template associated with it. What happens is it adds a list of documents for signature, could be more than one. It adds it at the bottom of the form. So, and you'll see it in action, what happens once it's available. So, and the next step will be the payment, but let's go through these signatures, through document sign-in and see how that works. So if I go and just go on apply page and go into preview mode, I'm already signed in as just a contact. So Cave is signed in. Cave is authenticated user, but doesn't have any specific role beyond that. And this is the application form. So we asking confirming the name. There's nothing to input from the user. So we confirming the name and we will be generating application number. It's auto-generated, so there's nothing to see here. As you can see, there is a members link that is not available here because Cave doesn't have the web role called members. So it's not visible. As we press next, application gets created, number is generated, same contact. And here we have documents appear for signature. So give it a little bit of time. And here's the list of the documents that are available to sign. Member application. Remember, I defined that member application is available. So I can go and view and sign. What's going to happen? So before it happens, I just want to walk you through what happens here. So there is a PowerAutomate solution, but I'm not interested in that solution. I'm interested in a couple of flows that are available here. There's two flows. One is DocuSign create and sign. That's the one that is going to kick in when we press that button. And the other one, it's a callback when document is signed, that's going to come and call back. So let's take a look what's going on inside of that flow. So when you open it the first time, it will prompt you for DocuSign connection. Here's the trick. And my good friend Nick Dolman, who released video, and actually go and watch it because he walks through the signature scenario much better than I do. So if you search Power Pages DocuSign on YouTube, you'll hit his video. Go and watch it. It's really, really good. So what he offers is like go and sign for 30 days trial. You don't have to do that. You can sign up for a developer account. Now, the trick with DocuSign, if you go and you say, oh, I want to add an action and I want to use connector. So DocuSign connector, it comes in two flavors. There's a DocuSign and DocuSign demo. So developer account needs a different connector. So it's not like a same connector like test mode. No, it's a different connector. So what I did, I went through all the actions. For example, there was you see, with this one, the chemistry big inside, it's a static result. I just say that DocuSign connector just succeed. This is the login with DocuSign connector. This login I created myself, and I created it with DocuSign demo connector. That is my developer account. So I can create, I went through and replicated all the steps with DocuSign using DocuSign demo connector. It's actually not a bad exercise because it makes you walk through the entire process and understand what's going on, understand every single moving part. In addition to that, treat that as a reference implementation. If you have a different provider, not DocuSign, let's say HelloSign or someone else, you can actually go ahead and use this as a reference implementation and create your own. There are two flows to do. There are some, documents to pull in. It's all kind of open source. It's available for you to read, go through, check the templates. The implementation is there. It's managed solution, but you can read it, you can modify bits and pieces, and you can create your own integration. So I found it like it's very, very useful exercise. So went through and so it's basically creates an envelope, updates name and email field, the roles, update the recipients, does some calculations, check the conditions, gets the tabs from the documents, those little yellow things, goes in the loop, update tabs, sends the envelope for signature, create embedded sign-in URL and returns it, and updates the row inside the DocuSign outputs. There is a couple tables like DocuSign outputs is one of those, and returns value to Power Pages. So you see the trigger is actually Power Pages trigger. That's another one. It's reasonably new. And if you go and set up Cloud Flows, and this is one of those. So DocuSign envelope, create and sign. And we add permissions for authenticated users to call this Power Automate flow. So going back to that Power Automate flow, once we're done, we're kind of done. We return value to Power Pages. It's a URL, and we're done. So let's go ahead and see what actually happens. So we're on Apply page. So we press View and Sign. It's not very speedy, but it's kind of good enough. You probably want in real life, you want some, I don't know, background music or something like that. Yep. So if you have any questions, that's a good time to ask because we'll be watching the paint dry. Oh, sorry, document signed. So I just go continue. This is the thing that you get within the demo account or dev account. The other thing you get is call from DocuSign dev team and saying, how can we help? They actually are helpful. So do take that call. And just go start, and you see those member name and member email populated, the date is inserted. Of course, it's an American format. I have no idea how to fix that. It's probably, must be my setting. No, my settings are Australian. No idea. I'm just gonna sign that. It's good enough, and finish. So we signed the document. It's available. We can go and take a look at it. Now we have to wait. This is where the background music would really, really help. So what's happening is under the hood, there's two flows, remember. Now the second one kicks in, the callback. And it's completed. So now it's completed. So before we proceed any further, so let's go and have a look at the flow. So this one, envelope create and sign, that was done. So we executed it just 1 minute ago. That was it. So it's successfully done. It's updated tabs failed. I think I pasted the ID wrong. Tip of the day, when you do call DocuSign API, set retries, especially in the loop, set retries to no retries. If it fails the first time, I guarantee you it will fail again. In the loop, what it does, it exponentially increases the time between retries, so your flow will be stuck like for 30 minutes without any visibility, and because it's in the loop. So you won't know that it's failing until you kill it and you go and say, oh, gee, it's failing for some reason. So don't retry. If it fails, it fails. Anyway, but the other one that's kind of interesting is DocuSign complete trigger. So let's go and take a look. That's what DocuSign calls back, and it's really, really simple one. So when envelope status changes, DocuSign will call you back. And again, you need to change this trigger to a DocuSign demo connector. And then you find your row. You find your row that in that signature table. And then basically there is a switch on whether it was declined or signed, and it equals declined, and we went into sign. So it updates, and basically it says that for some reason it's not refreshing well, but it will say the status of the document is signed. So it's in Power Pages. There's lots of data, and there will be a status here. Status completed. Yeah. So here we go. So envelope status, and it says completed, and it's 1256, 4 zeros in that too. So that's document marked as signed, and that's what visible now in application page right here. So that is great. So the next step will be a payment. So before we go and talk about payments, let's briefly talk about how we can accept payments in Power Pages. So for now, you have to do it yourself. So there are a couple, the options range from absolutely no code, as you will see, to lots code. The simplest one is payment links. So you define the product and say, this is my product, here's the link to pay. The only thing you need to take care of is how to pass the information who paid that money. So you grab that. You need to grab that. You can identify it by email, but sometimes, like if large organization, email will be the same email for the payment department, but they might pay for different subscriptions for different people. So you really need to be differentiating between that. The second option is actually creating the full payment cycle. So you've taken on a payment provider side, you pay the money, then you come back. And you've seen it many times when you do shopping and you've got your shopping cart, you go and you say you owe $100 for the shopping cart, you take it out to the payment provider side, you pay, you come back, and you complete you fulfill the order. That's the second one. The next level up involves more development is with the payment elements. So when you have the elements on your page that capture credit card number, capture the address and things like that, not a lot of things you need to take care of, but they need to be very secure. So PCI compliance it's a thing that allows you to take and store credit cards. You really don't want to get involved. Dataverse is not PCI compliant. In fact, Azure, I don't believe Azure is PCI compliant at all. So you can't store credit cards. There's certain hardware requirements. You really don't want to get involved with that. You really want to push it out and delegate it as much as possible to external provider. So in this instance, it's Stripe. So Stripe has extensive facilities to do the payments. One of my favorite ones is you can actually define the product. Remember, we sell in subscriptions. So what I did, I went out and defined a subscription, and then I defined a monthly subscription, and I defined annual subscription. And okay, so once I defined, and how do I show it to the customer? I say, okay, I can create a payment link. Literally, I have created payment link for annual subscription. I can plonk it in and it will show up as a payment. But I'm saying I want to have just a little bit more fun. So let me define a pricing table. So I defined a pricing table for AFA subscription, and I say I'm including two products, annual and monthly products, and you can pay with whatever you want, and you can have a link to give to your customers, but we want to pass some information as well. So we want to generate this link inside. Sorry, you can give this link and they can follow this link and have a checkout elsewhere. But I want to display pricing. Luckily, Stripe gives us, and other providers would do like authorize.net and so on, and PayPal, they would have something very, very similar. So similar facilities. So payment links, that's the one we're dealing with. Then there would be more advanced one, a checkout process, and the third one is inline elements for the page. So it's like evolution of all the different complexities within the payment cycle. So this one we need to put in on our page. So what I did, I went to my site and I created a payment page, a separate payment page. Yes, it says unable to process the payment. So what I did, let's go ahead and take a look by editing the code. What did I add? Nothing to be scared of. It's a little bit of code. What I did is I inserted a little bit of liquid and the code that been given to me by Stripe. So this is the Stripe pricing table. This block was already there, this layout, it was pre-created for me. And then what I'm saying, if parameter, the query parameter ID, which I will pass, it's ID of the membership application. If it exists, then please, membership application is this table, this record. So just grab the record from table or entities as they used to be called. And then I have fields, they calculated fields that just grab information from link contact. So applicant is a name of the applicant. It's just the contact full name. And then I have, let me just format that. Where's my format command? Nope. Hold on. That format document. Here we go. So what I have is the pricing table. I included as is. Publishable key. This is publishable key. There's a private key. There's public key. This is publishable key. So it's okay to expose it. And then there are a couple of things I pass along. Client reference ID, which I basically passed contact ID, and customer email, which I passed the applicant email, which is again copy of the contact's email. That's all. That is all. That's all that is on the page. That's the entire code. And then what I did, I took remember the multi-step form? Have to go into multi-step form, my membership application form. I have to switch here. Not everything can be done in Studio. That needs to be adjusted here. And then I have a page step as a redirect. And redirect is to the pay page. And pay page is the one that you just saw. That's this one. That's the pay page. That's all to it. So when we go to apply process, so going back, when I press submit, it will redirect me to that pay page. So let's go ahead and do that. Okay, so we're all ready. It looks fine. You know, I didn't do anything to this layout. I just said, give me a pricing table. So I say monthly. and I go subscribe. And that's kind of, it takes me out to the page, payment page. It's fine. It even does the upsell. It's like, hey, did you know you can save with annual? I say, yeah, okay, I'll save with annual. Email is fixed, so you can't change it. So this is a nice way to kind of nail it to a specific customer. So the payment will be attributed. But we do one better. We pass ID with the payment. So before I hit pay, it doesn't matter what. Enter here. Before I hit subscribe, it's a subscription that we created. Before I hit subscribe, let me just explain how we're gonna close the loop and do the fulfillment. In Stripe, let me go in Stripe. If I go to developers, go to webhooks. There is a webhook which is enabled on event checkout session completed, right? And the webhook URL is, you probably recognize that, it's flow URL, right? Where did I get it? I did create a Power Automate flow as part of my solution. Let me go and check my solution. Come on. Really? Okay, whilst it's making up its mind, let me refresh that and see if it comes to senses. Maybe not, it's not happy. Anyway, whilst it's refreshing, let's go and actually complete the payment. Subscribe. Thank you very much. Thank you for subscribing. Okay, yeah, it didn't redirect me anywhere. This is the first card. That's fine. That will do. It kind of looks neat. Okay, let's go have a look. What's with the solutions? And okay, here's my solution. Let's take a look at this flow. The flow payment received, and that was created as a simple flow with HTTP request trigger. We just processed it, and the first step was HTTP request trigger, so which gives you a nice URL to call back. And then we just extract from that trigger. Let me walk you through what actually happens in this flow. So when HTTP request received, and we do compose trigger body, just to grab whatever is available. It looks like, let me just show you what it looks like. Nope. That's what it looks like. So it's a lots of data. So what we actually interested in is the customer ID that we passed in. We interested to get it back, and client reference ID, it's coming back. That's the record we need to update that payment. That customer has done the payment. So we just extracting trigger body, data object, client reference ID. And what we do here, we associate web role, and I just hard coded members web role. In reality, you would probably request it by name, figure out the ID, and associate it with the contact. So what we did, we associated with the contact who paid, we granted them this members role. So if I go back, and remember, I still signed in as Cave Johnson. here we go. We've got members application page is now available to us because we are now a member of that. We have a web role called members that gives us access to that page. So if we go and take a look at that page, it's protected page, so it's only available to members. Now, to do the next step is, instead of sending to external page, what I want to do, I want to have a little bit more control over what's going on. So what I did is I created another step on my multi-step form, and I said on that step, so instead of redirecting, I want, after sign, I want to go to a slightly different page. Come on, wake up. Load the form, here we go. So I want to go to pay to. So pay to is a form which loads the application, membership application form. Let's take a look what that form, here we go. So that is my form, and I want to edit it in a new tab. Take a look. So what I did, I added, just for demo purposes, I added the quantities of subscription. Let's say you want to subscribe more than one person. So I added a field called quantity. Then what happens is we need to send this information to the backend, to Stripe backend. We'll create us a payment session. That session will be signed with the private key, and then we can use this session to collect the data. We have more control over what information we pass to that session. So if you're looking after, if you're looking for example, to do something like shopping cart, where amount is not fixed, it's not a single subscription, then potentially you'd be looking for something like that, creating a payment session, passing the information, what products are included, what total amount is, maybe coupon, discounts, code, and so on. So you can't just get away with subscription and, you know, annual versus months, and that's it. You need a bit more flexibility, what's going on, how to pass the information. That's what we're doing here. So here we're going to be passing, doing a little bit sluggish, but anyway, so we just added one field called quantity. So I'm just adding the quantity of the subscriptions, and I send it to the backend. The way I send it to backend, whilst this one waking up, the way I send it to the backend, I authorized another Cloudflow called create Stripe session, right? And I called that from that form code. And if we go to our form, this one, on form options, this is the code. So I just pasted the code, that's all. It's kind of 30 lines of code maybe, and it's nicely formatted. So let me take you to that code. Nope, that's not the code. Nope, that's not the code. That's not the code either. And here we go. That's the code. So what we're doing here, we grab an ID of the record. We have URL of the Cloudflow. This is just copied from the sample, literally Microsoft sample online, how to call Cloudflows. We pass the information, application ID, cancellation URL, where to go if payment is canceled, and the quantity. You can pass as much information as you want to, but this is the three properties that we pass. The application ID, so member application ID, we can grab, read the record, get some more info, get the quantity. And then we just basically this is the mechanics. We call the flow and we pass the results, and the result coming back is a URL, a payment URL. When we go to that payment URL, the magic will happen. The payment will be taken. Success and success URL or cancel URL will be, that's where we would go after completing the payment. But the Stripe will build a session, pre-built number of products, pre-built the kind of shopping cart for you and so forth. So you have a little bit more control. And we replace just button with saying go to Stripe session. So we're not even saving the record. In reality, you would want to some more fidelity, save the record, pass it back. This is for simplicity's sake, we clean up whatever's going on. This is the form. That's all I wanted to show, that we drop the quantity in. The rest is kind of application number and contact, and that's it. So there is nothing here. So and now we are actually, let me show you the flow that we call in. Solutions, CPD solution, create Stripe session. So that's the only flow that we need to create. And let me just show you how it works. Incidentally, callback remains the same, so we don't need to change anything. So from Power Pages, we pass application ID, cancel URL, and quantity of the product. We grab the application, so we read membership application. Then we get the Stripe key. Here I've done some nice things. So I store the key inside the Azure Vault. So here I'm just using environment variable. It's a secure environment variable, reads from Azure Vault. So if you go and you can see the secure input output hidden. So when you go into flow history, the key will not be there. It's not visible and it's stored in Azure Vault. So that's kind of way to handle secure keys that don't need to be exposed or given to anyone. Including flow authors, that's how it works. So even if I'm an author, I won't be able to see input output of the key. And then we create a Stripe session. And here I'm just using directly, I'm just going post to Stripe API. Very simple. Authorization is just basically that environment variable. Here's my key. And then it's just encoded URL. I'm just for simplicity, can be made more generic, but for simplicity's sake, I'm just doing that. Annual subscription product, I'm modifying the quantity, I'm modifying email, and I'm modifying contact that I pass in, and cancel URL also varies. It's basically a URL we're calling it from, so if it cancels, it goes back to URL. So let's see that in action. So we already replaced the last step. On the multi-step form. So if we go to the home and apply again, let's go through the signature process again. So just to recap, whilst we sign in, what we did, instead of this fixed pricing table, we added some flexibility. We can collect information inside Power Pages, and then we can pass this information to Stripe to create a specific payment session that will contain specific products, specific quantities, maybe discount codes and so on. Gives you a little bit more flexibility what to do, a little bit more code. As I said, the third final level would be go for what's called Stripe elements. Stripe elements, it's when you actually have embeddable elements like capture credit card number, capture customer address, and so forth. And then you can make it part of your page. Other payment providers work very, very similar to Stripe. So there's PayPal has very similar API, Authorize.net as well. We discuss different payment providers on our podcast, so come and listen if you're interested to hear about Canadian payment providers or US ACH check processing payment providers. So there are those as well. So okay, so once we get the docker, okay, Signature is complete. So now I expect that we'll be taken to the next step. Quantity, I'm gonna buy 11 of annual subscriptions, and I'm gonna go to checkout page. So right at this moment, it calls flow, it gets a result from the flow back and redirects. And you see there's amount, yep, can't change anything. It's quantity 11. I can go back because I created cancel URL and say I want 12. Go check out. It's already 12 subscriptions. So let's go ahead and pay. Okay. And we can process subscription. And the same things happen. Once payment completes, it just calls back, but this time it redirects to a thank you page within our site on success. So thank you very much. You already, you're now a subscriber, you're now a member, and you can access the payment information you paid for, so membership information. So all in all, document signatures are straightforward. There's a lot of moving parts. Go take it as the payment kind of reference implementation, pull it apart, make sure it works. The one thing I forgot to mention is that enhanced website are not on. So if you go to the website, sorry, to your instance, no, that's not, I wanted to go to my environment. If you go to your environment, and then you go to Power Pages sites for your environment, you see this switch to enhanced data model. Do not, if you want to try document integration, do not switch into that enhanced data model. It will break your document integration. So that needs to be off. There's a bit of rough around the edges in preview, and yes, it only works for authenticated users. And yes, you don't need to sign up for trial, sign up for dev account with DocuSign. You have to spend probably a good hour or more modifying Power Automate flow, switching to demo connector. But once it's done, it's done. So it's a good exercise. I did learn a lot of things whilst doing that. So on that note, are there any questions? Let me switch.
Thanks, George, for a great presentation and demo. So there's a couple of questions in here. So the first one I'm seeing is someone wants to know, is it possible to add a spinner to the Power Page while waiting for the flows to run, providing a better user experience?
Oh, definitely. I thought I mentioned that. Yeah, we were watching the paint dry. It's basically what you do. It's you do an Ajax post when you call in a flow. So what I would do slightly better coding. I would do a synchronous call and wait for a synchronous. And whilst you're waiting for a synchronous call, you can definitely spin off, put some spinners. I would put something on top, like a div, a transparent div with the spinner on top of the page, kind of dim it down a little bit. So yes, it's definitely possible.
Brilliant. Thanks, George. And there's just one more question then. And someone wants to know, is it safer to use Logic apps for flows, such as payment received, just in case your Power Automate is ever throttled?
Oh, probably. I probably can guess where the question is coming from. We did have a bit of not disaster, but bit of throttling in Australia happened when there was one noisy customer who hogged basically Power Automate resources, and well, Microsoft obviously looking into that now, and flows were failing for other customers because not running because it was so busy. Yeah, you can look into Logic apps. I mean, callback is a callback. I mean, it's you can call into you can call into Logic Apps, you can call into Azure Functions. Azure Functions is probably will be cheaper and more effective to run. It's just more code and less maintainable. Sorry, not less maintainable, but you need developers to maintain it. So a lot of the things like I've done, like creating Stripe session, it's usually done by developers. So I've done it in real life. We've done it with Azure Functions, for example. So you write like Node.js or C# code that does the job. This one is just easy because it's like technically it's classified as no code. So you just create a Power Automate flow and you call it. Yes, there's a lot of parameters to process, but it's all kind of click, click, point, drag, drop, and yeah, it can be classified as no code or low code. And definitely something that can be copied and pasted, unlike C# code that is difficult. You need to know how to compile it, how to build, how to deploy. This one is just go ahead and run with it. Yes, you can't call Logic Apps from inside Power Pages, but you can definitely use Logic Apps for the callbacks from Stripe or from your preferred payment provider, definitely. And we're all kind of waiting for Microsoft to come and give us similar integration, what they've done with DocuSign, but just with payment providers. That would be great. There's a lot of challenges, but yes, that would be awesome. Are there any other questions? In the meantime, this is how to get in touch with me. And,
Brilliant. Thanks a million, George. There doesn't seem to be any more questions, so we might wrap up the Q&A session there. We're just a minute over time, so we've timed that pretty well. But just on behalf of the ESPC community, we just want to extend a huge thank you again to you, George, for taking the time today to carry out this webinar. We really do appreciate it.
Thank you very much. That's been fun. Yeah, my pleasure. Thank you very much.
Thanks, guys. So that is the end of today's webinar. You can find this webinar and more at sharepointeurope.com/resource center. That is it for today, folks. Thanks again to everyone for joining us today. We take care and hopefully you'll join us again for more learning. Bye for now.